Kia ora, magandang hapon and good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here today in person and to those who are watching with us in live stream. First of all, I'd like to thank our lovely sponsors for making this event possible. And I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Salanguit. I'm an application security specialist at Lightspeed, a cloud-based POS system for business owners in retail and restaurants. I joined the company over 2 years ago from the Vend acquisition with pen testing and AppSec and managing bug bounty programs background. Just a little bit more about myself. I am someone who's passionate and deeply rooted in my faith. I love traveling. I'm a wife and a mom to a cat named Butter. So just before we jump right into it, I just want you to imagine being out for a camping trip somewhere in New Zealand. As someone who loves to getting experience outdoors or just getting out and enjoying the great outdoors, it's the perfect way for us to escape and just unwind from the busy city life. And the outdoors can be a tricky place especially when it comes to its smallest inhabitants, like the bugs. While it's interesting to find bugs or insects, any camper would want to be prepared with the right gear, having all packed the essentials and bringing all the stuff to bring, and just prepared on how to keep them away from any annoying bugs that they may come across while camping. So in this talk, I'm going to look back on what we've done and how we deal with bugs, especially security bugs, that led us to launch one of New Zealand's first companies to run a bug bounty program. And I think it was just for me a time to share how it all started, how does bug bounty programs fit in the security development life cycle, its usefulness of having managed bug bounty programs, why get started, or where do we even get started, and just final thoughts on sharing the journey and experiences over the last couple of years. So annually, we have engaged with independent, reputable, third-party consultants for penetration testing. And being part of the security team, on the other hand, we also do perform internal pen testing and making sure that we have set up dynamic and static application code analysis tools for regular scanning of our applications against vulnerabilities. And while we come across several sources of reports, of different technical reports, reviews, pen test reports, and internal findings from us security team members, from the developers, and from the tools that are covered, security issues that are covered by our tools, many people are still signing for our app, testing against our apps for free, and encountering some security issues with no way for them to report to us. We receive dozens of reports through email, which are mainly, most of the time, low-hanging fruits, and where we don't have a consistent way and standardized process to go over these reports and how to handle them. So if someone wants to report a security issue to us, or someone comes across a vulnerability in one of our products, we want to make sure that we have open channels for people to report these vulnerabilities to us. So who are these people? These people can either be a professional security tester who signed up for a trial account against our products, or a third-party developer who's integrated their app with us, and even a university student who might just be trying to test their security knowledge by testing our apps. And so over the years, we've come up with a responsible way for people to report vulnerabilities to us. And we've asked researchers for help and invite them to test our apps, and eventually led us to launch an initiative called Bug Bounty Programs. So this initiative allowed us to reward researchers for their efforts in identifying a valid, actionable security bug that actually has demonstrated an impact within our apps. So every bug bounty programs that we have involve different phases, which can vary depending on a program structure or goals. And these phases include preparation, launching, consideration of getting launched, and growth. So just like when you're thinking of going away for a camping trip where you have to carefully plan for it, it's the same way as when you're starting to run a bug bounty program, where it also requires adequate amount of planning, preparation to maximize the resources that you have, to maximize the experience that you need to bring. So we have prepared the following beforehand when, in order to ensure that we run a bug bounty program smoothly. And as part of the preparation, we have set up a vulnerability management program where we have a defined mission. We've set strategic goals and vulnerability management goals, as well as we've set key metrics on how we want to track this program in the future. Key metrics such as how many vulnerabilities have been resolved, how many issues have we smashed in the last couple of quarter, and are there any exemptions or are there any issues that that need to be that need to undergo a risk acceptance process. So I've also created a user guide that will help our engineers for how to identify and fix security issues that includes an internal service level agreements with our development teams to help prioritize and make sure that they get fixed within an agreed time frame. And in the event that it makes it too difficult for a team to look into these security issues, or it's too costly to resolve a bug, then we have also put an exemption process in place to extend timeframes as needed. And in some cases, we also require additional approvals for accepting the risk of where a non-critical issue won't be actioned in other cases. So we've also built processes and practices internally that we iterate to handle report submissions. Like, how do we want to respond to these security researchers? How do we want to award bounty for them? How do we want to engage with them? How do we want to handle the reports? And how do we want to assign and make sure that they get fixed? Because we don't just want to pay bounties and pay for every bugs that we receive, but we also want to make sure that they get fixed in a timely manner. So we also made sure that we set up our scanning tools, like our dynamic application and static application security testing, and make sure that we performed internal and engaged with third-party pen testing before running bug bounty programs. So the next phase is the launch phase. We usually start with a private program, which is more controlled environment that limits the number of people that we want to invite or send invitation to join or participate in our bug bounty program. So during this launch phase, we normally start with small number of hackers or researcher participants. Usually we start with 25 or 30, and then from there we land and expand. That's how we want to make sure that we have control over the report that's incoming, our pipeline, and that we want to make sure that it also aligns to what works best for a team. And during this phase, there's just so much noise during the launch phase on its like first few weeks or first like 3 months. We usually have an influx of reports that are coming in and then eventually goes down over time. And it's just, I'll just make note that during this time, it's helpful that we have like a triage team that helps us do the first triage and then helps us go over them afterwards. And then we continue to assess until such a time that we are in a comfortable state before transitioning a bug bounty program from private to a public one. So that's where the growth phase comes in, where it is a state of maturity and expansion. We try to get other products in our company to run a bug bounty program. So sometimes in this phase is where we struggle a bit with like engagement and in performance overall with the whole bug bounty program. Because it also happens like we don't get enough reports over a period of time, like after like being launched, because there's not much engagement with like the with the invited people or invited participants in our team. And it's just that this is just a time where we iterate our processes, improve our workflows, and just make sure that we have all the things that we want to consider in order to like have that pathway to launching it in the public or opening it up with the whole wider hacker community. And it just also raised awareness that, hey, we wanted to ask for your help. If anything you see or comes across a security bug, then you can report it to us, and we reward them for that. So where do bug bounty programs fit in the SDLC or secure development lifecycle? So bug bounties fit into almost every step of the SDLC. In requirements, it helps identify issues that were never found prior, and it provides valuable input to guide like the development requirements in maintaining a strong application security. And in design, bug bounties reveal insecure coding practices and a known risk associated with a certain architecture or certain library, a design, or a code implementation that the team is trying. And this informs early on the design and application architecture approach that needs to be improved. And for the development and testing, so this is like the ultimate goal. We want to have visibility into the security issues that need to be fixed by our internal teams. This is where mostly the critical vulnerabilities or any significant issues with significant impact arise. And it goes beyond testing. Bug bounties can have significant impact on our process improvement, because there's always that always on the top feedback or constant feedback loop with us working with like security hackers. That's part of the hacker community. And for the usefulness of having managed bug bounty programs, let's say we have received like this email. As you can see, you can have you can probably see that the sender's intention of sending this like email to us is that he wants to make us aware that there is a security vulnerability that exists in our app. It could be potentially valid, it could be not, but he wants, someone out there wants us to make sure that we are aware of this. It could be it could be potentially critical, and he wants us to make us aware that this has to be mitigated. So how useful is having a managed bug bounty program in our case? In our case, a formal structure of handling external security submissions is very valuable, especially that getting reports like that is oftentimes unexpected, but it's highly possible that we receive those kinds of reports. But generally, it's not something that we should like panic about. And because sometimes researchers will just really submit report and just mention like, you have critical vulnerability, you have this critical stuff like that. And a managed bug bounty program allows us to leverage security platforms out there that help us resolve scaling issues, help us track duplicates, help us detect other issues in the platform. And we have a means to like track hacker profiles, who are the people that we've invited or who are the people who participated to us, and how we allow them to categorize their submissions by choosing a specific vulnerability category in the platform. So it also allows us to really work with another triage team, which is like an extension of our teams in security. And although that we have them, we find it valuable to also be directly involved in overseeing the whole work of the triage team that's helping us. So we jump into any critical issues that could have been possibly reported. And we also, because sometimes it happens that a third-party like triage team would make a call that's something that we wouldn't agree on, but ultimately we really find it valuable and a great asset to our program. And lastly, it's useful for us that we embrace continuous testing. A bug bounty program that runs continuously picks up emerging vulnerabilities, especially for us that ships product updates constantly and fastly. And we get to be tested like as our application changes. So here you are going to see two different types of report. And on the left side is a bug report. This is a publicly disclosed bug report over a long time ago. And we really get quite a lot of good quality reports in our bug bounty program. It usually has a summary of the security issue, a very detailed steps to reproduce, a working POC on how to reproduce it, and a very clear impact on the vulnerability. But at times, we also receive a bug bounty report. Like, exactly as it sounds, people will report, will submit the report to us and just like ask for money. So I saw how much value that this kind of platform-driven approach provided to us when we've used it. So having like, as I mentioned, like an extension of security team that helps us do the triage and makes sure that that those kinds of like bug bounty reports or any spam reports do not get into us in our security team. So why get started? From a lens of a bug bounty program owner, there's just really a high opportunity of collaboration across teams and researchers. It takes cross-team effort, combined efforts with your security team, with the engineering team, legal, finance, and other internal teams. And it also helps us to encourage our engineering teams. We have an initiative that highlights the significant work that they're doing in smashing bugs or security bugs in our apps. So we make sure that we recognize not only the researchers but also our engineering team for smashing security bugs in our apps. And then it's also cost effective. We pay per bug over a continuous period of time. So we reward for every unique areas of interest in our app that are vulnerable. So let's say there's an IDOR issue and there are different people who reports either issue to us, but on different areas or on different endpoints in our app. So from that level, we get to understand what the common theme of issues are present in our app, and eventually help us search for other areas or vulnerable endpoints and tackle what the main cause of the issue as a whole. And we get to leverage and tap in the skills from a diverse hacker community, tap in the skills of a talented pool of hacker community who are across all over the world, and as well as we want to have a proactive commitment to security, because we take security as our top priority, given that we want to have initiatives that supplements our team's effort and capacity in looking after the application security and the overall security of our product. So where to start? You can start by having a security.txt file on your site. Security.txt is a standard that gives people an easy way to contact your organization about security issues. It's a file that sits on your web server and gives details of your PGP fingerprint, email address, or any information about a policy on how to report vulnerabilities in your company. So you can find that TXT file for any website through a well-known path. And another thing to get started is just making sure that you provide a way for other people to send details of the vulnerability that they find securely. So people are able to send encrypted files of the details of the report, and that they should be able to use PGP encryption to send that report. So this can also be included in your security.txt file alongside the program policy that you want to implement in your program. And of course, some may be worried that about the financial costs of running a bug bounty program, but you can get started with drafting a guideline or a policy for responsible disclosure, which basically just lets people know that, hey, this is how they can contact you, and this is how you'll treat any reported vulnerabilities. So oftentimes, this initiative does not involve monetary or financial rewards, but at least people can reach out to you and have and make sure that they know how to contact you with a set of guidelines and scopes that you want them to test for or to report findings for. And just on final thoughts, just wrapping up on the final thoughts of the learnings that I've had over the past couple of years managing bug bounty programs at our company. Given that we really put security as a top priority, so I learned to embrace that these initiatives like running a bug bounty program really scale our security efforts in making our app more secure. I've learned that it does not replace pen test engagements, but it really supplements it and other security efforts that we bring to our company. Through bug bounty programs, oftentimes the vulnerabilities with significant impact, the ones that we, the areas of particular interest that we are interested in seeing, in finding, often come through our bug bounty program channels. And it's amazing that the costs, when they get identified and they get reported to us early on for such vulnerabilities, is really smaller compared that when they get exploited in the wild, or when someone else did not disclose it properly to us. So I think that's the end of my presentation. And if anyone's have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or have a chat with me. And thank you for, I hope you find this talk helpful, and thank you.